Across the South Coast, live from Solent University. You're listening to Solent Sports News.
Good afternoon, it's 3 o'clock and I'm Dylan Shavas and these are your Solent Sports News headlines. The Champions League draw was made earlier on today, and putting it lightly, there were some mouth-watering ties to come out of the hat, including the two most recent winners of the trophy facing off against one another. In the past couple of hours, the Europa League draw has also been made. Ben, what can you tell me about today's draws? Which games are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Champions League fixtures in particular, Dill. Of course, Chelsea will attempt to do what Liverpool couldn't do and knock out the current holders in Real Madrid. And Bayern Munich are up against Manchester City in the next round. And of course, there'll be a couple familiarities there with João Cancelo, who's obviously on loan at Bayern Munich, and Pep Guardiola, of course, returning to Bayern Munich. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of awkwardness there. And of course, the winners of those two games will face off in the semi-finals together. And the other two ties see Benfica taking on Inter Milan, and AC Milan will face Napoli for another time this season. Of course, they play against each other in the Serie A. So yeah, the first time since 2018 that there'll be an Italian side in the semi-final. So I'm looking forward to the Champions League in particular, Dill.
Well, sorry. Thanks, Ben. We'll have more on those games later, as well as the FA Cup. Looking ahead to Manchester United's tie with Fulham in particular. We'll hear from an ex-Cottagers forward in our next show. Today is St Patrick's Day, but there was a very different Patrick in the news this morning. Crystal Palace have sacked their manager Patrick Vieira. The Eagles have not won a match in 2023 and were beaten 1-0 by Brighton in the Premier League on Wednesday, marking their third defeat in a row. Palace are now just 3 points above the relegation zone and take on league leaders Arsenal this Sunday in what's sure to be a very tough game for them. Speaking to Sky Sports News, Chairman Steve Parish said despite Vieira being a popular figure at the club, he had the club's best interests at heart in sacking him.
Obviously, you know, it's a results-based business. It's very tight at the bottom, and I've got to think about what gives us the best chance of retaining our status, which is what it's about now. You know, we've got to accept we're in a dogfight at the bottom with some very, very good teams.
Looking locally now, and Southampton face Tottenham Hotspur tomorrow. Following a midweek defeat to Brentford, there is pressure on Saints to pick up 3 points tomorrow at St Mary's. Yet, it's also a must-win game for their opponents. Spurs boss Antonio Conte has been under threat recently, but reckons he's still the man for the job.
Football is really strange, and you don't know what happen tomorrow. You understand? But we'll try in every moment to do everything, me and my staff, and I think the club appreciate this.
Elsewhere in the world of Saints, Belgian midfielder Romeo Lavia has received his first Red Devils call-up. From everyone here at Solent Sports News, congratulations, Romeo. From one team struggling to one on form, Solent University's football first team had to settle for a point on Wednesday as they were held to a 0-0 draw against Bournemouth University. Solent, who wrapped up the title with 2 games to go, play their final league fixture at home to the University of Southampton this Monday night. It's going to be free to go down to Test Park and support the boys. Kick-off is at 7:45. On to rugby now, and the last weekend of the Six Nations means just one thing: the Farrell family going head-to-head in Dublin. Andy Farrell is the Ireland coach, whilst his son Owen is England captain and kicker. Ahead of the crunch clash, Farrell Sr. has admitted he'll talk to his son in the build-up to the game, but tactics won't be on the agenda.
He's not staying too far from our house, actually. The grandkids are coming over today as well, so we'll be trying to poach them into our captain's run tomorrow, see if we can squeeze them to cheer for Ireland.
Crossing now to the travelling camp, England head coach Steve Borthwick admits everyone is hurting after last weekend's thrashing by France, but that they're all determined to go out on a high.
Everybody around the team, players, coaches, every one of the management team found last week's result and performance painful. It hurts, and every one of us has worked this week together to get an improved performance on Saturday.
The two other fixtures this weekend see Wales travelling to face France, while Scotland play host to Italy at Murrayfield, who are against an Italy side who are looking for their first win of the tournament. Rugby to the races now, and the final day of the Cheltenham Festival takes place today. The Gold Cup is up for grabs, and Rachel Blackmore will bid for a repeat victory on her horse, A Plutard, after becoming the first female jockey to win it last year. The Henry de Bromhead trained horse has struggled for form since then, however, but Blackmore's hopeful he can bounce back in style.
A few niggly issues were found. They seem to be straightened out now. He got the knock at Christmas. Obviously he hasn't had the preparation we would have liked, but I've no doubt Henry will get him there in perfect order for the day.
Our Cheltenham correspondent Adam Oliver is there for us, and we'll be hearing from him live at 4 o'clock. In darts, Gerwyn Price won Week 7 of the Premier League in Nottingham after defeating Chris Dobey in the final. Price trumped 6-4, but the main shock of the night came in one of the semi-finals, as prior to the final Dobey had brushed aside Michael van Gerwen 6-0 to deny the imperious Dutchman what would have been a 4th straight victory. Former Australia captain Tim Payne has retired from domestic cricket after playing for Tasmania in their Sheffield Shield match against Queensland. The 38-year-old wicketkeeper was given a guard of honour as he left the field following the game. Payne played 35 tests for Australia, with 23 of those wearing the armband, including the famous Ashes win on English soil in 2019. Elsewhere in Australian cricket, India currently need just 8 more runs to win their ODI against Steve Smith's side. From one man slowing his career down to some which are speeding right up, and Red Bull picked up at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix where they left off in Bahrain 2 weeks ago by dominating at the first practice in Jeddah. Max Verstappen set the pace ahead of teammate Sergio Perez, with Fernando Alonso of Aston Martin in third. The session was held at daylight in the late afternoon, whereas the qualifying and race are held at night. So you can expect conditions to change in what should be a more representative second session at 5 o'clock this evening. That's all from us for now. I'll be back in an hour. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest breaking stories on our website, www.solentjournalism.co.uk. I've been Dylan Chavas, and thanks once again for listening.